Okay. Now, has everyone studied filter function? Has everyone studied it? In the first module of Python. Okay, I will take it from the beginning. So filter function is a very useful function. Okay, what it does is look at it. Okay, let's take it forward then, rather than looking at it. So filter function is a very useful function. You define filter function contains two arguments. One is a function. Second is the iterable. Okay, iterable, whatever iterable we want to provide it, we can use it. What it does is, let's say I have defined a function here, a simple function. I have to find positive number, and I'm providing an argument here. Sorry, providing an argument here, which is num. Provided a doc string. What I'm saying, if number is greater than 0, return the number. That's all I'm saying here. Okay, that is all I'm saying here. Now, if I run this function, okay, if I run this function, and what I can do here is I provide, and let's say I have a list of, let's say, 100 elements, and I want to know what are the positive numbers in a list. The first thing which will come to your mind is I will run a simple loop. I will check if the number is greater than 0. I will create an empty list in the beginning, and then I will append all those numbers which are greater than 0. That is how I will do it. And that is a very feasible way. No issues with that. But that is not the optimized way. Filter function does it beautifully for us. What it asks us to do, it asks us to create a function which we have already created. If the number is greater than 0, return the number. That's all. Simple. What it does, it checks the condition. If my number is greater than 0, it is returning that number. On the second phase, what I'm doing, I'm creating a range list. Okay, I'm creating a range object number list, which is starting from -10, and it is going to 9, because 10 is excluded here. I'm printing the list, which is looking like this. Okay, this print is generating this. Now I created another list. Okay, I created another list, or let's say created another variable. Now let's try to break this code. It's very easy. Let's delete this. Yeah. I have written filter. Okay, I have written filter. The syntax of the filter function is the first argument is a function. Whatever function which we have, either it can be a user-defined function or it can be a built-in function. It can be any one of them, depending on the requirement, obviously. Def find positive number is the function which we defined, and the number list is the iterable which we created. And at the end, what did we do? We converted whatever we are going to return in a list. It's up to us. We can even use a tuple. It's completely up to us. Then I'm printing this positive number list and I'm running this. What is happening here? On the second line, which you see printed here, is only giving you positive numbers from the above line. What filter function is doing? Filter function is running this function which we have defined at the top on every iterable of this list, okay, or every element of this list. And wherever this function is returning a value, it is keeping it itself. It is keeping that. And then at the end, I'm converting all those values in a list object. What if, okay, what if I do not convert it into a list object? What will happen? It gives you a filter object. So the value is there. It is definitely there. You can even convert it into a tuple if you want. But to see those values, you have to do typecasting. Now it is up to you, whatever type you want to use as per your feasibility and as per your requirement. Is it clear? Any issues with filter function? Okay, I consider it as enough. We will see is instance in a while. We will see the map function first. Okay, we will see the map function. Map function is very similar to your filter function. Here Rishabh is typing. Let's continue. So map function also takes exact same out the arguments which filter function takes. It takes the function which we want and it takes the iterable. Exact same thing. Now, what I have done here is, let's say I want to compute the square of every element which is available in my list. This is the traditional way which I can use. I can also use a list comprehension way. I have created an empty list. Squared is equals to blank list. Then what I'm doing for num in numbers, squared dot append num square, and then I'm printing squared, simple, and I'm getting this output. I can use the, what we say, but number, I can use the list comprehension way also to get this I for I in numbers. One way also I can do add numbers. I will get the exact same thing. So these are two ways which you already know. Now let's try to use the map function and work this out. What I have done, I have defined a simple function, power of 2. I'm providing it an argument, which is just a number. And then I'm returning the square of the number, return num square. Now I'm using the map function. What I have done, I have defined a variable square. Exact same thing, whatever value I'm going to get, I'm just converting into a list object. So just leave it aside. Let's see the map function. Map function is taking the first argument as my function which I have defined earlier. And then the iterable. If I'm running this, I will get the exact same thing. What is happening at the moment? Numbers is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is coming from the numbers and it is being passed by map function in this function. Okay. Then the return 1 square 1, 1 is returned. Similar way 2 came and 2 went to power of 2. 2 is square of 2, 4 is returned. And the exact same way the function is working. We can even use, okay, squared num lambda. We can use the lambda function also to complete this task. Okay, this is a function which we defined here. Okay, I can define a function in map also, lambda. I'm providing one argument which is x, and then I'm returning x squared. And I want numbers. Then what I'm doing, I'm printing. I will get the exact same thing. So if my function is not complex, okay, if it is not very much line taking, or if it is not very much complex, and I know that I can define it in a lambda function, we can do it. We should definitely use it, but we should keep in mind that we are not using this function anywhere else. Okay, then it would be a redundant task. You have to write the function again and again and again and again and again. If that is a task that you have to define a function and use it a couple of times, then define a function using def keyword. If you just know, okay, you are going to use it once or twice, and you can use the leverage of lambda function, you can do that also. Any issues in map? Yes, no, maybe shut up. Okay, let's see the reduce function. Reduce function is very common. Okay, so means reduce function is similar to map and filter. Similar to map and filter, it also takes two arguments. One is the function, and second is the iterable. But there is a catch in reduce function. Reduce function returns a single value. You need to keep this in mind. Okay, reduce function returns a single value. Using map and filter, you are returning a list, you can return a tuple. Depending on your requirement, you can do that. But using reduce, it is not possible. You have to use what we said. Sorry, it will only return a single value. Let's see an example of reduce. What I want to multiply all elements of this list. What if I give you this task, the first thing which will come to your mind, even in my mind, if I do not know reduce, I will say I will define a normal variable which will have the value 1, and then I will run a simple loop and I will multiply that variable's value to the every element's value, and then at the end I will return that variable. Simple. If you want, if someone asks me, is there another way and you can do it? I will say I can use while loop instead of for loop. It is also a possibility. Perfect. But I can also use the leverage of reduce function. Reduce function is available in functools library. So from functools, we need to import the reduce. It is not available right away. You have to import it. Okay. What we are doing here, we are defining a function. Again, def multiply two arguments, x and y. And then I'm not doing nothing but multiplying x and y. That's all we are doing here. Again, I'm defining a variable product is equals to reduce. Then I'm providing the function name, which I have created, multiply, and then I'm providing the list variable. Okay. Yes, I have already defined LST here. I'm using the exact same here. And I am printing it here. The moment I run it, it gives me exact same thing. Okay. So what's happening inside? 1, 2 are supplied. Then that value and the third value supplied, then the value and fourth value supplied. That way, the reduce function is working those things out for you. And like map, we can create lambda function in reduce also. It is up to us. Now the last function which I left is instance. Instance is a very useful function. Okay, it is very useful. Let's say if I want to compare the data type of an object, let's say of a variable, I can do it using instance. It is very useful. Let's say I have a list which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm printing instance LST, which is the variable, whether it is list or not. It is going to print true. Then I defined again a variable, which is a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm saying whether is instance T is a list or not. Obviously not, it's a tuple. So the moment I do tuple, it will give me true. So it becomes handy sometimes. Sometimes it's up to you actually. Any issues in the built-in functions which we just discussed? Any questions, any doubts, anything which we have faced which I have not covered? Thank you, Girish. Just a fundamental question. What is the difference between a function and a method, and how can we check it? So, Rishabh, when we are discussing or when we are using a method, okay, I've already explained it earlier. So when we are using a method, okay, it does not return a value except the pop method. Okay, except the pop method. So let's say I have a list available, which I have already defined at the top. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me change it a bit. Let's add, okay, let me make it 10. Let me make it -2. Now this is my list. What if now I'm sure that you are aware that to sort things, okay, to sort, use method of list, and we can also use the sorted function. Two things, and this is exactly which we are going to do here. Now, if I do LST, okay, let me define the same list again, just to show you the difference. LST dot sort. And on the next line, okay, on the very next line, I will do sorted LST 1. We let's leave it. Okay, I will not do anything for the method. I will do everything for the function. Okay. What I'm doing here, first line is that, and the second line is this. This is going to give me an error. Sorry. Let me do this first. I run this. I do not receive anything in return. Okay, I do not see anything in return. But if I do sorted lst1, I get something in return. Now, if I print lst1, this is something which we need to keep in mind. And if I print lst, now you will see the difference. Once I ran the method, it did not return me anything. And once I run that, okay, once I printed that object, the changes were made to the existing data structure. Okay, the changes were made to the existing data structure. Now, when I use the function, sorted function on lst1, it instantly returned me anything without using the print statement. And when I printed that object again, the existing object is not changed. The major thing to keep in mind is when it is returning something, I can assign it to a variable and I can print both of them. And my existing data structure will not change. However, the function on which I have used is changed, but the existing data structure is not changed. So this is the major difference between a function and a method. I hope it is clear.
Clear. Yeah, it is clear to me. Thank you. Thank you, Shirish.
A method is basically a function defined inside a class and hence can be operated on the objects which are instances of that class. Thank you, Arun. Yes. Okay, where were we? I will delete all these cells which I created at the end. Yes, it is another. Okay, we will not take too much time now because let's see the user-defined function now. User-defined functions that we define ourselves to do certain specific tasks are referred as user-defined functions. If we use functions written by others in form of library, it can be termed as library functions because obviously when we use NumPy and Pandas, obviously they are written by someone, okay, and we are using them. What are the advantages of user-defined function? User-defined function help to decompose a large program into smaller segments, which makes program easy to understand, maintain, and debug. If repeated code occurs in a program, function can be used to include those codes and execute when needed by calling that function. Programmers working on a large project can divide the workload by making different functions. This is a very easy thing. So this is a simple function. It just takes two arguments, A and B. It products, okay, it does a simple product A and B and it returns the product. So here, okay, this was, why is it like this? Okay, it was in Python 2 earlier. It was in Python 2. Now, product of num1, product of num2, and this will be this. Okay, is this line clear with everyone? Okay, I will explain it. So I'm using this 0, 1, 2 for format. Everyone is already aware of it. I'm providing the 0th argument as number, first argument as num2, and the third argument is I'm doing nothing but I'm calling a function inside my print. That is all I'm doing here. I'm calling product numbers and I'm providing the arguments as num1 and num2, and whatever value is going to be returned from that function, which is the product value, is coming here, and I'm printing the product of 10 and 20 is 200. Simple. Now, this is a very simple program to create your calculator, addition, multiplication, subtract, and division. So whatever I want, I can do it. It is asking me for the choice. Whatever choice I'm giving, based on it, it is doing everything. Running it, if I run it, what are my choices? Let's say if I provide 3 and I provide 5 and I provide 6, the multiplication of 5 and 6 is 30. So a simple calculator kind of a program which I created. Any issues in the second notebook? Any issues here? Any issues in the built-in functions? Any issues? Obviously, we have not used user-defined functions too much, but that is something which mainly focuses on a problem. What kind of problem which we are doing? What kind of problem which is given to us? Any issues in that? Any issues in it? Girish, Shipra, Shahana, Rishabh. Okay. Okay, it is also saved.